Welcome to Think Tank, powered by Vodacom. I'm Zelling Null with Tank Lanning. Tank, this was us a week ago.
I seriously see these as very dark days for South Africa. Yeah. Look, the reality is that if in 6 months' time we've won the World Cup, no one's going to remember Super Rugby 2015. So perhaps we will be looking back and not remembering this trauma that we're going through. But it really is trauma. You know, it's eyes on a different prize, and we've got some issues.
Well, we had a spot on.
Yeah, you know, let's take into cognizance two things. One, you know, the level of opposition this weekend, and two, you know, like all hell to the Lions. They deserve the credit they get, but you know, they only just beat a side that took 52 from the Crusaders last weekend at home, and the Crusaders lost to the Highlanders. So, I mean, you know, rightfully so, it's a whole lot better this week, 100%. The glass is half full instead of half empty like last week. Yeah. But you know, let's just you know, take it with a pinch of salt a little bit.
Well, in round 9, a couple of teams got back to winning ways, and the way that they did it was they went back to percentage tactics. The Blues got their first win of the season. They outkicked the Brumbies. The Cheetahs snapped a 5-game losing streak. They outkicked the Force. And the Stormers snapped a 3-game losing streak, and they outkicked the Waratahs. So my question is, if these tactics are so effective, why is it that South African sides in particular are constantly chasing this running game that doesn't seem to work?
Yeah, probably because of us. Well, not you, but me. You know, I'm one of those freaks that I'd rather have, you know, entertaining rugby than winning rugby. Yeah. But I know I'm in the minority, and quite clearly, you know, people are grumpy when their teams lose. Yeah. So, you know, wen rugby is better rugby. And I think what's happened is that they get under pressure from the public, from the media. They play a more entertaining brand in the Currie Cup. Yeah. Their defences are a whole lot, you know, worse than they are in Super Rugby. Everyone thinks they can play Harlem Globetrotters, New Zealand kind of rugby. It comes unstuck in Super Rugby and boomba. You know, so I think you're spot on. You know, you need to make a call as to what type of rugby you're going to play and then commit to it.
Absolutely. The Cheetahs made 173 tackles in that win against the Force. Defence seems to be back on top.
Absolutely. And the other one where it was pertinent was the Wall of Cape Town. It was back. It eventually got back into the Stormers camp. Yeah. But you're right. So Cheetahs made massive tackles. But the Stormers, you know, it was just tackle after tackle. And eventually they just smothered the Tars into making mistakes. They got frustrated. They made those errors, the turnover ball, which is golden ball, and the Stormers just pounced.
And that turnover ball really brought those small backs that the Stormers had, brought them into play. Obviously, on attack, you've got to support those kind of guys at the point of contact where they're out-muscled. But on defence, from a turnover, a guy like Cheslin Kolbe can just run away from anybody.
Yeah, no, I think, so what changed for me was that the structure of the defence, perhaps not the actual tackling, although they made a lot of them. But I think once you change the structure of your defence, then making the actual tackles becomes easier. So it's always been big guys or little guys can't tackle big guys. But if your structure is so solid, and I think if you watch the Stormers game closely, their fourth man down was often coming out of the line, shooting out of the line by about 4 or 5 meters. Skulk did it, Juan did it. Right. And suddenly the Tars were like, had to make big calls inside that sort of 15-meter area, and it just smothered them. It meant that the little guys outside didn't have to make those huge tackles. Yeah. So I thought the structure was much better.
Yeah, and that's something that you can do when you have this tackle and fan approach, where you've basically got 14 defenders on their feet. You always outnumber the attackers, so you can afford to send guys on shoots like that.
Yeah, spot on. And, you know, sadly, it's probably one of the things that's hurting rugby at the moment. Because old days, you know, the scrum and the line-out would suck in 8 fat guys, and then there'd be space for the 7 small guys to run around a bit. Yeah. But now, as you rightly say, people aren't committing to the breakdown. They're not hardly even committing to scrums. You know, and you've got, you know, that wall of defenders, and so you can actually, if you structure it correctly, just stop people from playing rugby. And I think that's what's happened, especially this weekend, especially with the Stormers.
Right. One of the guys that have paid the price for that change in defensive mindset is the conventional fetcher. Because there's no need to contest on the ground when you've got more numbers on their feet. But Heinrich Rousseau was outstanding for the Cheetahs on the weekend.
Legendary.
Back to his best.
Yeah, I mean, he's just so good. I mean, Meyer is going to look like a complete arse if he just continues to, you know, to not pick him. Look, obviously, Flolo adds a line-out option. Yeah. But Brousseau has just been so good this year. And, you know, stealing balls, slowing down opposition ball, which is another thing that a fetcher does really well. I'm a big believer in that fetcher. I think you can't play this kind of modern-day rugby without that, because you get the go forward, you get the slow down, and you just disrupt. You know, Michael Hooper, Richie McCaw, there's a plethora of them. Pocock, it changed the way rugby is played. And I think, you know, we've got to have a backup to Flo, and Brousseau's an automatic answer for me.
Nice work, Tank. Guys, I'm getting tired of asking all the questions. Please be sure to tweet us using the hashtag ThinkTank and send your questions through to the big fella so you can have a look at them, and we'll get to the best ones next week. Please tune in then to vodacom.co/rugby. Ciao.